channel. My name is Cherise. Today's video is my March update for Project Pan Hit Pan for 2022. How I'm doing this project is I'm bringing in palettes and I'm starting with my oldest palettes first out of my collection. And every month I'm just trying to hit pan in each palette. When I hit pan in a palette, I'm able to either roll that one out and bring in a new one, or if I want to keep going with that palette, I can go ahead and do so. How I started this project was I started with 5 palettes from my collection, and I start from the oldest palettes that I own, so I can go ahead and get use out of them. I did hit actually 6 pans of shadow. That's how you would say it, 6 pans of shadow in those 5 palettes last update. And I did bring in a new palette. So I was working with a total of 6 palettes for March. Alongside of that, I am working on another project, the project Level Up, and that is an eyeshadow palette project. So I really had a total of 7 palettes I was working out of for March. And I will say that at the end or during the month, I realized that that's too many palettes for me to be focusing on. So for this month, I am going to bring that number down a little bit as far as the palettes that I'm working out of. So I ended February hitting 6 pans on my shadows. And for March, I had a goal of hitting pan in, obviously, the new palette that I brought in, which was the Lorac Pro. As well as I did want to focus on certain shades in the 5 original palettes that I had been working on. I will say, just for time purposes and to try to keep this video down to a halfway decent amount of time, I'm not going to show the palette, a few of them, because I honestly didn't even grab for them because I was so focused on the new palette that I brought in as well as the other palette from the other project. So I really didn't make any progress. And those palettes that I didn't make any progress, but I will show you what the update looked like for February so you can see the shade that I did hit pan on. And that was for Sigma, Flare, and Dare, these 2 palettes right here. Again, I'll just post a picture of what they looked like last month because there's been no change in them at all. But these 2 are definitely rolling out. And then the other palette that I didn't do any progress on was the Bare Minerals palette in the playlist. And again, I'll post a picture so you can see at least last month what I hit pan on for that palette. This one again is rolling out too. The last 2 palettes that were my original were the Bare Minerals Cocktail Hour and the Too Faced Sweet Indulgence palette. Those 2 palettes I did make progress on, so I do want to show it. I will post a picture of the Bare Minerals Cocktail Hour, what it looked like at the end of February. And for the month of March, what I was trying to do was hit pan in a specific shade that I was very close to last month hitting pan on, but I never did. And that is in the shade Icebreaker. And as you can see, hopefully, that I did hit pan here. Hopefully you can see that. Let me turn it around maybe the other way. Maybe it's better if I turn it this way. So right here, hopefully you can see the pan that I hit there. This shade is very, very pretty. I use this mainly as either a brow bone highlight, an inner corner highlight, or like right above my lips a little bit. So this is going out. So I was excited that I was able to hit pan in another shade. The same thing with the Sweet Indulgence palette. I'll post a picture so that you can see what it looked like at the end of February. But I was focusing on 2 shades. They were green shades. One was Nice Stems and the other one was Pastille. And I'm excited to say that I did hit pan in these 2 shades. So this one right here and this one right here. And like I mentioned before, I seriously have been wearing so much green. One, because I just was focusing on it for the month of March. But also, too, I just was really drawn to green for the past actually couple of months. So it wasn't that hard to really hit pan because I just kept going towards these shades. So I'm super excited about that. And then, so this is getting rolled out as well because these were the 5 original palettes that I had been working on since January. The palette that I brought in at the end of February was the Lorac Pro. And I'll post a picture of what it looked like before at the end of February. And excited to say that I did hit pan in a shade. And this is what it looks like right now. And hopefully you can see the pan in cream. And I use this, there you go. Hopefully you can see it there. I use this basically mainly for setting my eye primer. That's pretty much what I really used it for. Or also to diffuse, like just if I had like a harsh line, just to diffuse it and blend it out a little bit better if I was wearing darker colors. These two right here, the light pink and the mauve, I don't know if you can see, but I have a really, really good dent in both of them. Those two I would mix together. I actually have it on my eyes today in my transition area, but those two shades I mixed together and I wore them in the crease. So I was really debating if I should keep them in again, because I think if I work on it for the month of April, I'll probably hit pan. But I got a good amount of use out of this. I did also use this deep purple shade a few times, and you can hopefully see a little dip in there. I used the gold, I used the light bronze, I used this nude shade quite a bit as like an inner corner or brow bone highlight. So I used this palette quite a bit. I didn't really use black, espresso. I don't think I used sable. I didn't use garnet or slate. But I believe, yeah, I used all the rest of the shades. I did use at least once. So I am putting this back in my collection because, like I said, I do want to draw out a few more new palettes and just to get, again, more use out of my palettes. So this is going to go out. This does bring my total as far as how many shadows of pan that I've hit to 10. So I have 10 out of my 22 that I originally started out with. Again, I haven't project pan in a few years, or it's been several years. So I really didn't know, like, how long it's going to take to hit pan on things, or I've forgotten. So I wanted to just go with obviously 22. It's 2022, so I figured, whatever, at least strive for 22 shadows to hit pan in. But obviously the way that I'm going, I'm hoping to exceed that. And also, if you've seen the project level up, which I will also post down below, I did complete level 1. So I hit pan in the palette that I was working out of for that. So that really gives me 11 out of my 22 shadows that I've hit pan on. So I'm super excited. So moving forward for the month of April, like I said before, the way that I'm doing the project is I'm not randomly picking my palettes. I'm doing that for the project level up, but for my project pan, I want to go ahead and I'm just starting with the oldest and just working my way up to the newest. That's just the way that I'm doing it. Also, 2 of my palettes that I had, the Lorac Pro to Go and one of my Morphe palettes, I did give that to my niece. She's wanting to get into doing more looks and more colors and stuff, so I thought that would be 2 good palettes for her to have. So I did take that out of my collection. So as far as the next 3 palettes, because I'm picking 3 palettes and then I have my other palette for my other project I'm working on. So I think 4 is a pretty good number for me to go ahead and focus on. The next ones in line are the Anastasia Beverly Hills Catwalk palette. And this is what my starting point, I guess, looks like for this palette. And for this one, this reminds me of the mauve that was in the Lorac Pro palette. So I'm sure I'm going to be using this quite a bit as the transition shade. So I'll probably, I would think, just by looking at it real quick, this is probably going to be the one that I'll probably hit pan in. But I do want to focus on this shade too. This shade's really, really pretty. I think even for like spring, I'm horrible at swatches. I think we've established that my last video where my swatches were just horrific. But you can't actually really even tell on, let's see. It's just a very light, it's a very light rosy shimmer shade. Hopefully you can see it there. So I'm going to work on those two shades, or at least those are going to be my focus shades, just looking at it real quick. So this is the first palette. My second palette that I picked out, or that was next in line, is another cargo palette, and I am working on a different cargo palette in the Project Level Up, but this one is the Let's Meet in Paris, and this is what this one looks like. So here is my starting point for this palette. And I hope you guys can see the colors and like just how it looks. I feel like the light is just, I don't know, very glaring. If I bring it down, I don't know. Anyway, that's what this one looks like. And these are all satin or shimmers. This looks like it has like a little bit of glitter in it. But the one that I'm just looking at it real quick, because I'm trying to pick different shades. I'm trying to pick out different shades. I'm not like panning the same colors all the time. This one has absolutely no mattes. So just looking at it real quick, the ones that I'm drawn to that I haven't panned yet are like either this Eiffel Tower or this creme brulee. And they're like, this one's like a gold shade and this one's like a almost like a copper shade. I really like these two colors. So those are the ones, like I said, for now, I'm thinking about maybe working, focusing on. So yeah, so this one is the creme brulee and this one is the Eiffel Tower. So those are really pretty shades. So those would be my focus shades, like I said, as of now, that I think I'll be working on. And then the last palette that I picked is another Too Faced palette, and this is a few of my favorite things. And this was, I believe this was like a Christmas palette that came out. Again, these are like my oldest ones, and I'm working through my oldest ones first. But this is where this is starting. So as you can see, I haven't hit pan in any of these palettes. They have been used a little bit, not a ton. I will say in this one, the one that's probably closest to hitting pan first, which again, I will probably be using a lot of, is this shade right here, which is this cream colored Ponies. And I'll probably, again, be using it just to set my eye primer. It's just an easy shade for me to go to. It's a matte shade. I'm trying to think anything else, like other matte shades. This chocolate milk and maybe the woolen mittens, but it's going into spring, so I like to use more of like mauve or like orangey type shades to use for my crease and for my transition rather than the brown. But we'll see. And another color that I find very, very pretty just looking at is this Bluff. And that's a shade here that's very pretty. It's like a bluish, silvery gray type of color. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to, as much as I still wear purples, as you can see my nails have purple in it. I'm trying to stay away from the pinks and the purples because for me those are the easiest colors for me to use. And I'm trying to move a little bit outside of that. But, I mean, it still doesn't mean I wouldn't use it. I mean, I'll still use it. It's just, I don't want that to always be my go-to as far as for panning because I do want to venture into, other shades and stuff. As of now, between the few projects that I'm on, I have hit now 11 pans out of 22. So, no doubt that I'll hit 22 by the end of the year. I'm sure I'll hit more than that. Well, at least now that's my new goal, is to hit more than 22. I cannot remember, I know, well, I shouldn't say I can't remember. I know that I took pictures of my eye looks. Like I said, I'm trying to be very mindful and intentional to remember to take pictures. But some of the eye looks that I'm doing are combining both projects. So I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful, like just to do one look from one palette or one look from one project and post those pictures. So if I do have pictures that were just solely of the 6 palettes from this project, I will definitely post those. Otherwise, yeah, I'll just, like I said, in the future, I'll just try to be more mindful just to keep it like, the few palettes that I have now for April, just make a look out of these, and then this way I have something to show you. But that is it. If you guys are working on your project pan, please let me know. I'd love to go ahead and see where you're at and how you're doing. Follow me on Instagram. I always forget to say it, but you guys already know the drill. Obviously, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love for you to give me a thumbs up and comment. I love talking to you guys. So that is it. Until the next video, I hope you guys are having a happy and blessed